Good morning. Welcome to Unity Fort Worth on this gorgeous morning. Have you been outside yet? It is so beautiful. I'm so happy you could be here today. Let's start our service off by singing a great song together, God in Every Face.
We come together to behold the power of love, the power of light. We come together to behold we are divine. Lift up our hands, lift up our hearts, lift up our vision, lift it to the stars. Dance in the glory, whirl in the grace. See God in every face, see God in every face. We come together to behold the power of love, the power of light. We come together to behold we are divine. Lift up our hands, lift up our hearts, lift up our vision, lift it to the stars. Dance in the glory, whirl in the grace. See God in every face, see God in every face. We come together to behold the power of love, the power of light. We come together to behold we are divine. Lift up our hands, lift up our hearts, lift up our vision, lift it to the stars. That's in the glory, whirl in the grace. See God in every face, see God in every face.
This is that wonderful time in our service when we get to say hello to each other. We can say hello in our Zoom room congregation hall where we gather together to watch the service together, or you can say hello by making a comment in the Facebook live stream on the Facebook page. So check on your friends, check on your neighbors, say hello, say how you doing, see how people are. It's a beautiful day. Get outside today. I just cannot recommend it enough. So as we do that, once we're done saying hello to everybody, we're going to sing another song together. Today it is Joy in My Heart.
I have the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart. I have the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart to stay. I have the peace that passeth understanding down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart. I have the peace that passeth understanding down in my heart, down in my heart to stay. I have the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart, down in my heart. I have the joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart to stay.
Good morning and welcome again to our beautiful community. As sunny as it is outside and as beautiful it is, we have that beauty in our hearts and allow that to shine forth right now for our opening prayer. So let us take a deep breath and move into a point of relaxation, not only of the body, but also the mind and the soul. We're allowing that soul to smile at the beauty of what is outside and within us. We're allowed that to come forth as we are uplifting our thoughts and our feelings right now. We're releasing any power we give to regrets, worries, concerns, judgments, anything that may bother us right now. We release power from anything that is standing in the way from us being who we truly are. Today, we declare to find our spiritual and personal mission to be. We're allowing that mission to come forth in a way that we have not experienced before. Right now, we find the strength within us to see what we're all about. Together as a community, we can help each other to find the power of God in each other, the power of Christ, the universe, nature, energy, whatever you call it. We are here not as only individuals, but as a collective power, a collective force that moves goodness in ways that are so beautiful that any negativity can no longer survive. With that power in mind, we simply allow ourselves to be and to flow into the way of being where two or three are gathered. Here I am among you. We are gathered certainly more than two or three, and we understand that the here I am is us, the perfect Christ expressing in this prayer. It's us all together, the perfect Christ expressing as a community. So with that in mind and heart, we're allowing our prayer requests to come forth. Realize that there are claims just to be fulfilled right now with the power of the group, the power of more than one. And for a moment, we take notice that whatever happens in our lives, we are standing fast and strong in the being that we already are. The divine that we seek is already expressing. All we need to do is just simply open up our awareness to that. We find God in everything, outside and within. We find love in everything, outside and within. And even in those moments when we feel like love is just not existent anymore, the divine seems to have left, we are encouraging ourselves and guide ourselves to moments and places and times to open our awareness to what truly exists in the end. So with gratitude, we move into this service, knowing that our uplift, our smile toward ourselves and others is going to be the essence that needs to be expressed. We say thank you to all those teachings, all the scriptures, all religions, all paths, all orientations. We say thank you to all of us, teaching each and every one of us how to be loving and kind for the peace of this world. And so it is. Amen.
Let's affirm our first two principles. Together, there is only one presence and one power in our lives and in the universe. God, goodness, omnipotence. We are God, expressing such inherent goodness. And our mission statement, we teach and live universal truth, unconditional love, and abundant life. Today's daily word is smile. The affirmation is, I share the joy and love of God when I smile. Let's say this together. I share the joy and love of God when I smile. Even if a language barrier prevents me from understanding another's words, I know that most people will respond to a friendly smile. My smile can convey goodwill, communicate delight from an unexpected blessing, or inspire awe at the sight of a star-filled night sky. A child not yet able to talk shares love and joy quite effectively with a sunny smile. I feel happy when others smile at me. This friendly, welcoming gesture reminds me that we are all one in spirit. Smiling at my reflection in a mirror, I see the light that shines from me. I feel a quickened awareness of the divine love and joy that are present everywhere as I realize how simply and beautifully my smile can express the love and joy without any need for words. Today's scripture verse is from Numbers 6:25. The Lord makes his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The affirmation again, I share the joy and love of God when I smile. Let's say it together with a smile. I share the joy and love of God when I smile.
Today's thank you goes to our spiritual leadership, our wonderful licensed Unity teachers, Denise Teague and Elaine Schweitzer, who tirelessly work in the background to support myself and you in holding a graceful and joyful foundation for our community. Thank you both for your support to all of us.
And today is New Member Sunday. And yes, you might be thinking, wait just a minute, we just had a New Member Sunday. And you're right. But in the midst of scrambling for adjusting to the pandemic, one membership application got lost. But fortunately, we found it, and the board was able to approve it at the last board meeting. So please welcome Brandy Caldwell to our fold. Let's do so with some love in the chat or by making some emoji noise. And if you would, please join us after the service at 12:30 in our virtual fellowship hall to honor and bless her as our newest member.
Spirit group signups are open on our website, and you find them by following the link on your screen and go to our eCampus on our website. All spirit groups start today on September 20th, but it is also wise for you to reserve the spot as soon as possible because the spots are, or the places are limited. So if you haven't registered yet, I will go right now to unityfortworth.org/spirit groups and see if you can still get in. It's pretty exciting. Our new season, our fall season starts now.
And also tomorrow, our weekly Yoga at Unity classes from 5:45 to 6:45 with Yogi Bryn Byrne Dardanes continues. And this class is elementary and it's designed for anyone who would like to participate. So check it out at unityfortworth.org/yoga. It's on a love offering basis and it's designed to help you move into a healthy future.
And also tomorrow, we will add a new service to you. As we are learning more about how well our community is connected during this time, we realized that texting may be an additional resource to be used. Therefore, we decided to provide an affirmation each week via text to you. On Monday mornings, we will send an affirmation to your phone via text for you to keep throughout the week. And we are already developing other ideas to add on to that. Now, don't worry, you can always opt out of this. So we don't want to flood your phone either. So it's not going to be an everyday thing, but maybe a couple of times a week, just a little reminder right directly on your phone. And as probably many of you noticed, we were playing around yesterday, doing some testing to get ready for tomorrow, and we had a little mishap. And so I apologize for that. It certainly wasn't intended to send you a message out early in the morning. For some reason, and that's how technology sometimes works, when you do the testing, things go wrong. So I hope you can forgive us for that.
And speaking of using your phone, we wanted to remind you that you can listen to this live service on your phone without having to use a smartphone or apps or without going to Facebook. Just dial the number on the screen and enter the meeting ID and you're in. If you know anyone who still has not been able to connect, please let them know that they can listen on their phone. We're doing our best to capture those who would benefit from this knowledge. However, with your help, we'll be sure not to miss anyone.
Another exciting announcement we have today is that on Sunday, October 4th, which is St. Francis Day, we will have our first parking lot event. Yes, you heard it right, our first parking lot event at 2 p.m. in the afternoon after the service, which is going to be a pet blessing. So we're going to actually have either you come into the garden if you're comfortable doing so, of course, observing our policies, mask wearing, socially distancing. You can bring your pet inside the Peace Garden and I will do a pet blessing right then and there. Or if you're more comfortable, you can remain in your car and I will come to you, to your car, and at your level of comfort, you will give me instructions how you would like me to bless your pet. So this is a very inclusive way of doing this. We have a little tiny service that we are planning. We have an FM transmission, which means you can actually listen to that little service, that mini service from your car radio. You dial in to a certain frequency that will let you know, and then you can be part in the safety of your car. So no need to get out if you don't want to, but if you want to get out and come into the Peace Garden, that is okay also. So we are very excited to do this, our first parking lot event, and there's so much more to come.
Yes, and the excitement just keeps building because throughout the month of October, we're going to hold a food drive, potentially in collaboration with our neighborhood association, who also wants to organize a food drive. Now, we're still working out the details, but we're thinking of using our parking lot for a drive-through experience at a designated time. So keep your eyes and ears open for more details, which will be forthcoming soon. And in November, we may do our traditional toy drive in exactly the same way.
So now we have pet blessing, food drive, toy drive, and you might be wondering, well, what about Halloween? Again, we are in talks with RENA, our neighborhood association, to collaborate on a possible combined trunk and treat, or some other way to celebrate Halloween in a safe way. So again, keep a lookout for more details, but we wanted to let you know that there is another possible second parking lot event coming up for your children to participate. And of course, those adults who remain children, you can participate as well.
Whew, that was a lot of announcements. Now let's just relax and enjoy some beautiful music from our gifted music team.
Well, hold on a minute. I don't think that's all, folks. I believe we forgot a very important announcement today, don't you think?
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, we did. This is kind of a big one too.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we really almost missed that one, and so I have to say I'm very excited about what we're about to announce. How about you?
Yes, I am too. And yeah, you go right ahead. I can't wait to
Oh, you want me to do that? Okay. So
I want you to do that.
Without further ado, here I am very excited to finally introduce to you in person our ministerial intern, Russell Jackman. To do that, I'm going to get out of this presentation right now. So there's going to be a little bit of a switcheroo, and I'm going to ask Russell just to come in and show himself. Russell, are you here? There you go.
I am.
Welcome, Russell. I'm so excited for you to be here. We already spent a week together, and this is your first Sunday. So welcome, Russell.
Thank you.
Our community.
And you're using a great word, John Marie, and that's excited, because I'm excited. I'm excited for the people I've already met that have been so kind and generous. I'm excited for the people I'm going to meet. But I'm also just excited after being in a week in which you tried to get my head to explode, getting me up to speed with everything that was taking place here. I'm excited to be part of such a vibrant community as Unity Fort Worth. So I'm looking forward to meeting everyone as deeply and as possibly as I can. So whenever you see my little square in the corner on Zoom meetings or wherever we might be, I hope you all reach out and say hi.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to have you. I can see you're going to be a wonderful addition to our team, even if it's just for a short little while. I know 4 months go by really, really fast, but I'm excited for you to be here throughout this holiday season and all the Christmas and the Burning Bull and everything. And so everyone, if you want to say hi to Russell, you can do so right now in the comments and do some emoji noise if you would like. And where Russell will be available after service, also in the fellowship hall.
Yes.
And if you want to connect with him directly, so don't miss that opportunity. Again, welcome, Russell. So thrilled to have you. And I can't wait what we're going to do together.
I agree. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to continue with just a little bit of music before today's message.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness. Although a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. And that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Keep on smiling.
Thank you to our wonderful music team to always bring us an uplifting and harmonious experience to our services. Just to give you the heads up, we have a special music piece prepared for you today, right after the love offering blessing. Yes, you will have to stay until then to find out what it is and enjoy the experience. Have you ever asked yourself what it would be like if we actually became what we secretly desire to be? What would that look like? What would that feel like? Exciting? Joyful? Peaceful? Alive? Last Sunday, Reverend Dr. Paul Hasselbeck touched on a number of basic unity teachings and concepts that are foundational to any unity community. Some of you may have been aware of those and have heard of that before, what he said. Others may have been surprised, possibly even disturbed a little bit by the revelation of what unity thought actually is. And so today I wanted to tie in one particular teaching into the idea that we can be anything we can imagine to be, and what we need to do to make this happen. Not just as a wishful kind of thinking, but actually make it happen. Today, I would like to inspire the idea that our mission, our personal mission to be everything we can be. And with that in mind, if there is only one thing you can take with you today, I would hope it is that you remember this. I am everything I imagine to be. Let me say this again. I am everything I imagine to be. So let us review some of what Reverend Dr. Paul Hasselbeck revealed to us last Sunday. He started out not really started out, but kind of in the middle of his talk, he brought up the idea that God is not using us, but we are using God. And you can see the quote there, you can read it for yourself, but I just want to bring back the memory of his talk on that topic. He called it blasphemy, heresy, disturbing. And yet, I want to pick it up right there because the idea of using God is really very foundational to unity thought. And you may have been probably a little bit put at ease when he replaced the word God with principle. Once we do that, the whole blasphemy, heresy, oh, I can't do this, I can't say this, may probably go away, makes it a little bit more easier to understand. Yeah, I can use principle. I can use the principle of mathematics, the principle of gravity. I can use all that. And so this wonderful principle, God, we should be able to use that. And then Myrtle Fillmore, in one of her healing letters, and by the way, her healing letters are responses to prayer requests. As you may remember me explaining a few weeks ago, is that unity at its core was not really a church, not really a religious organization. It was a group of people who prayed together and also prayed over some of the requests. So healing letters, Myrtle Fillmore's healing letters, are responses to people's pain. And so she's writing about life and substance and how God's gifts are available to us, and that we are using our abilities to use those gifts and then direct them into our lives. And as you can see in the quote, she writes, God is life, we make that life into living. And God is love, we make divine love, that's what it should say there, into loving. So we become the activity of God. God simply is. God is a principle, an infinite potential and possibility of some of those beautiful aspects, such as life, substance, love, compassion. Anything we can think of, anything we attribute to God exists in its infinite form. And then we take that, we use that, and bring it through us, through our humanity into this world, and it becomes actionable. It becomes doing. And so if we would summarize some of what Paul Hasselbeck said last Sunday, and especially what Myrtle Fillmore had to say as to the difference between God and us in terms of the activity, we would look at our five principles, Unity's 5 basic principles, in this way. We would say this last 5th principle, the principle of action, is one of the most important ones to consider. Of course, we have the first 4 that talk about the nature of God itself. There is only one presence and one power. And then who we are in relationship to that, the oneness aspect. And then our way of thinking and how it all connects to the experience, again, the activity, but in the end, and our tools, of course, in the 4th principle, but in the end, what really matters is that we take action. When God is life and we don't do anything, there's no living. When God is love and we don't do anything, there's no loving. And that is a key element to remember. So for today, I wanted to use again an affirmation that is made up of a starting point, and then you add onto it as you wish. My mission to be is to be. And you add whatever comes to mind. And as we did last time when we did this type of affirmation, just feel free to choose to share what comes to mind right now. My mission to be is to be loving, kind, exciting, peaceful, calm. Whatever it is, maybe share it in the Facebook group, in the chat, in the comment section. And then once you have chosen it, once you know what it is, once you have the resonance in your heart and mind, let's say it together with your word. My mission to be is to be kind. Wonderful. So let us dive in to today's topic of having a mission to be. And I'm going to use one of Jos Fillmore's talks that is at least 100 years old as far as we know, if not older. One you can actually read yourself if you get the book consisting of a collection of his talks, which is Talks on Truth. Be what you imagine God to be is the idea here in this quote. It is your mission to express all that you can imagine God to be. Let this one sink in for a moment. It is your mission to express all that you can imagine God to be. Making this a personal mission is an interesting point that Jos Fillmore is making here. If you've been around the discussion with Nat Carter as a transitional minister, and also as we discussed when I was trying out about how is Unity Fort Worth going to move into the future, you probably learned this term called mission-centric, to be a mission-centric community. And what that means is that everything that we do has to somehow relate to that mission. And very similarly, we can actually do this for our personal mission. We can embrace a mission-centric living. We can embrace a life that is mission-centric. To have a personal mission can be very useful, similar to the mission-centric approach in a church or any business. Our life's business is always evaluated through the personal mission we subscribe to. And so from that idea, if all of a sudden we would say, we make it our mission to express all that we can imagine God to be in our lives, that's a big one, right? That is kind of incredible. But if you remember Paul Hasselbeck's talk and what I just said about what Myrtle Fillmore was writing to the person who had this prayer request, learning more about the nature of being. And if you really embrace the idea of oneness, that there is only one presence and one power, and we all are part of that, then it's probably more easily to understand that as we imagine God to be, our purpose is to be exactly that. Some of you are probably familiar with Unity's 12 powers. And one of those powers is called the power of imagination. The power of imagination is our ability to imagine, conceptualize, envision, and dream. It has to do with a lot of creativity. And the power of imagination is something that can be extremely powerful. We can actually imagine a lot of things in our mind, and sometimes they might almost immediately come into manifestation. Have you ever thought, for example, of a friend and the phone rang just a few seconds later? Or have you imagined yourself to get a degree or to get a job or to get a relationship? And as you kept imagining it and envisioning it, it eventually happened. That's when we use the power of imagination. The important thing is that we learn to practice this every day, that we practice all our powers and also the power of imagination every day, that we deliberately step back from our busy lives and develop the skill of imagining it. Sometimes we can also use colors that may help us. For example, the color that's associated with the power of imagination is light blue. There's also a body point between the eyes. And of course, we can also use scripture. For example, the disciple Bartholomew is connected to the power of imagination. There's all these ways we can actually learn to have imagination developed in our lives so powerfully that, like Myrtle Fillmore said, we can use God's gift and express it in any way we like. We can make life into living and love into loving. So knowing about the 12 powers is helpful, and certainly also something that we can practice on a daily basis. And when it becomes our personal mission to be what we imagine God to be, and we practice the power of imagination on a regular basis, then the consequence or the result of our practice and our willingness to take action must be that eventually we become exactly that image that we have of the beauty that God may be. Now, that might be a big one for you to take in right now, because we are not used to, from traditional Christianity that most of us have grown up with, but even from other religions, we're not used to think that way because we are trained to never compare ourselves to God. But again, we could not embrace our second principle, the principle of oneness, if we didn't allow ourselves to at least explore the possibility. And we don't have to go all the way, right? We don't have to have all these big ideas that, oh, are we supposed to create worlds and universes? You know, it's always good when we start small. What if we just started with the quality that we attribute to such a God? Kindness. And we imagine ourselves to have such an infinite kindness to anything and everyone we ever meet and experience. That becomes who we truly are. That becomes a mission for us, to be kind and loving to everything, that it does not matter anymore. That's really, I think, where we can start. And then from there, as we learn to do this with one characteristic and another one and another one and another one, we grow bigger and bigger in our understanding and more strongly and more courageous embrace some of the more bigger ideas that right now are just unimaginably impossible to even contemplate. Now, how are we going to do that? That's always the question, right? Part of unity is about, let's consider some of the concepts, some of the ideas, some of the possibilities, and then bring it back into practicality. How are we practically going to look at that? And what came to mind was really two practices that we have talked about before. They're coming from the yamas and the niyamas, some of the teachings that Patanjali wrote into the Yoga Sutras. For example, Svadhyaya, which is a niyama, the second last niyama, is the self-study, is a reflection of oneself, understanding oneself from the outer sheath, the body, inwards towards the inner self. It's kind of like a complicated way, I guess, to say, just to look at yourself. Just stop for a moment, stop the busyness, and start turning within and look at yourself, study yourself. It also has to do with scriptural study, which is also a very personal and internal study. When you study scripture, it's an inspiration. From a Hindu perspective, it will be the Vedas. From a Christian perspective, it will be the Bible. From a Jewish perspective, it will be the Torah. From a Muslim perspective, it will be the Quran, and so on. And then Satya, which means truth, sincerity, genuineness, and honesty. They're both interconnected. They're both really important to take in and to explore. This is from the Yoga Sutras. Pada 2, Pada means chapter, and Sutra 44. Sutra means verse. And it says here, Svajayayat Ishta Devata Sampraya Yoga. And what that translates into, and there's many translations by the way, I'm using Yogi's BKS Iyengar's translation here. Self-study leads towards the realization of God or communion with one's desired deity. And I have Brian's translation here. Brian is a scholar who studied the Yoga Sutras very deeply and, of course, the culture behind it. And he says from study of scripture or self-study, a connection with one's deity of choice is established. I like Brian's idea of choice. And here is really important. You can see that Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras is not attached to any specific god or any specific deity at all. But what the point is that he recognized that when you practice yoga, practice the art of union and unity, that ultimately through self-study, what we are realizing is the union with whatever we believe in. Now in unity, we call it God or principle, but whatever your name is, universe, nature, it's the same idea. Self-study leads to that communion, that oneness. And then finally, we can actually do this a little bit more unity style. So this is a combination of several translations, just more in a unity speak, where it says self-study, which is the word svajayayat, leads to oneness, samprayoga, with the divinity, devata, that we seek, ishta. So again, we have this mission to seek and to look for God and our relationship of God. And the self-study eventually leads to that oneness with that God, with that divinity. And so self-study becomes important when we want to follow this mission of imagining to be just as we imagine that ideal of ourselves to be. In the same chapter, verse 36, Pada 2, verse 36, Patanjali addresses Satya, to truthfulness. Satya pratishtayam kriya phala ashrayatvam. And what that means is when the sadhaka is the practitioner. When you study the Yoga Sutras and you are at the beginning, you're not a yogi yet, you're a sadhaka, you're a practitioner. By the way, even if you become a yogi, you're still a sadhaka. You're still practicing because the practice never stops. So when the sadhaka is firmly established in the practice of truth, his words become so potent that whatever he says comes to realization. That is from BKS Iyengar's translation. Truthfulness is essential when we study ourselves. Everyone has the ability to cut through the masquerade we often subscribe to, while we already know and feel that our truth lies somewhere completely else. Think for a moment at your experiences, your life experiences. How often have you already known the truth and you still pretended to be someone else, to do something you really didn't want to do? When we study ourselves, truthfulness is essential. We cannot end up in an experience of oneness, and we cannot imagine ourselves purely to be the divine self we already know we are if we are not truthful to ourselves. We have to stop kidding ourselves. That's how I like to see it. And a really good example is actually coming from the Gospel of John, who looks at the Last Supper as the last time Jesus has the opportunity to teach his disciples. In chapters 13 to 16, we read the last final teachings of Jesus Christ to his disciples. Before moving on, just before he was arrested, into chapter 17, which is the entire chapter is the final prayer to God. And in that moment, Jesus becomes truthful. He becomes truthful in a sense that he recognizes what he has accomplished. He already predicted that he is going to die or to be killed. And he, at this point, has nothing left to say, nothing left to pretend except for this final prayer. And in this final prayer, this is only part of it. I encourage you to read chapter 17 after today's service, just as an inspiration. He's saying here, I'm asking on their behalf, on the behalf of the disciples. I am not asking on behalf of the world, but on behalf of those whom you gave me, because they are yours. All mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I have been glorified in them. And now I am no longer in the world, but they are in the world, and I am coming to you. A testament for Jesus to know these are my final moments. Recognizing that he was not able to change the world, but he was able to change a few. And that is enough. He was given those disciples, as it says here, by God, and yet he was gravitating towards those few at his own doing. And our lives are very much similar. We may not be able to change the world. We may not become those famous and popular people, special in a way that we usually perceive those that we see on glossy magazines and on TV shows. But we can still work it. We can still change the world. Even a single mother raising their child can change the world. A clerk at a gas station can change the world. A teacher going back to school, handling the children or helping the children to understand how to be with this COVID-19 can change the world. You right now sitting at home listening and absorbing and resonating and imagining what God is within you can change the world. We don't have to be grandiose. We don't have to be pretend. We don't have to do anything but to be truthful to ourselves. Satya is important. We are certainly living in difficult times, and we are coming up on making an important choice as to the future of this country. We can make this choice by following the news, talk to the same people we have always talked to, blow into the same horn we always blew into, and find evidence for our convictions to justify our thinking. Or we can do more than that. We can use God in more uplifting ways, spreading joy and harmony rather than frustration and criticism. It all comes from the same place anyway. So we might as well do something useful with it. We can make it our mission to be what we imagine God to be, applying all the qualities we may have externalized to ourselves and resonate with them in ways we never have done before. We can imagine ourselves to outgrow our limitations worries, regrets, and shame, and start shining brightly beyond even what we can currently imagine. We can study ourselves truthfully and release anything we already know is just a justification so that we don't have to show our embarrassment for supporting something we already know is inhumane, unjust, or designed to promote inequality. We can take action rather than being satisfied with just knowing. We can change for the better so that the world can heal. That is what is ours to do if we are really serious about this spiritual work. Otherwise, let's just no longer pretend and move on. Before we move into our meditation time, I wanted to give Charles Fillmore the last word by sharing with you the entirety of exploration of what our mission should be. It is your mission to express all that you can imagine God to be. Let this be your standard of achievement. Never lower it, nor allow yourself to be belittled by the cry of sacrilege. You can attain to everything that you can imagine. If you imagine that it is possible to God, it is also possible to you. Whatever possibility your mind conceives, that is for you to attain. This is the law. Let none belittle himself or dwarf the supreme by trying to annul it. All things that are mine are thine, and thine are mine. So let us take a moment and take this in. Just allow the music to guide us into the flow of being. Find the presence of God or universe or nature within you. And imagine what that looks like or feels like. What are those qualities that you seek? And now allow yourself to imagine for a moment that those qualities you seek are the ones for you to express. Even if it might feel like there is a separation between the God you seek and yourself, there truly is none. Allow your awareness to open, to expand. Embrace those qualities that you admire. And affirm those qualities to be already available to you right now. Find that place in your heart and mind that smiles at you. Release any power you give to regrets, limitations, negativity. And instead just embrace the beauty that you already are. Remember the word you chose for today's affirmation. My mission to be is to be kind, loving, compassionate, uplifting. Allow your personal mission to come forth. Remember the words that Charles Fillmore said as he stepped out into every new day. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm. And I spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in the teachings as they resonate with you. Spring forth with that mightiness to do the things that ought to be done by you. So let us sit for just a short little while in silence to resonate. As we are slowly coming back and getting ready to close in our meditation today, we recognize the feeling of gratitude that's already surrounding us. In these moments of meditation and quiet contemplation, we relax enough into our true nature of being. So gratitude and the act of thanksgiving just come naturally to us. And now, either silently in our hearts or out loud, we say thank you. It's powerful to whisper it, to say it with conviction. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And so it is. Amen.
God in you, God in me is the love that sets us free. God in you, God in me is the light we all can be. It's the essence of us all, the whole of humankind. It's the source of all my good, the universal mind. God in you, God in me is the truth of who we are. God in you, God in me is more powerful by far than anything we can think or dream. It's the best that we can be, and so it is. God in you, God in me. God in you, God in me is the love that sets us free. God in you, God in me is the light we all can be. It's the essence of us all, the whole of humankind. It's the source of all my good, the universal mind. God in you, God in me is the truth of who we are. God in you, God in me is more powerful by far than anything we can think or dream. It's the best that we can be, and so it is. God in you, God in me.
Thank you, Jean-Marie, for reminding us that we have the choice to use God in more uplifting ways. And now we move into the time that we practice generosity while giving a source. We do that virtually by giving online, and on your screen, you'll see a link or a phone number that you can use for your one-time or your recurring gifts. So let's take our gift or a symbol of our gift in our hands and place it over our hearts, or connect with our partners as we bless our offering as the very abundance that we already are. Together, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful.
The shadow of your smile when you are gone will color all my dreams and light the dawn. Look into my eyes lovely things you are to me. Our wistful little star was far too high. A teardrop kissed your lips, and so did I. Now when I remember spring and all the joy that love can bring, I will be remembering the shadow of your smile. I will be remembering the shadow of your smile.
Wow, what a treat. Simply beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for joining us today for this service. Don't forget to drop into our virtual fellowship hall to bless our new member and to say hello to our new intern. The link is unityfortworth.org/fellowship. And hey, keep in touch, read the newsletter, go to the website for more information. There is a lot going on here at Unity Fort Worth. As always, stay safe, be well, and have a wonderful week.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, when I put this music piece together from the videos and all that, I had goosebumps, and I just gotta thank Beth and Larissa and Eugene, Larissa's husband, just for sharing their gifts. I just saw a comment that this has been world class, and I would absolutely agree. Thank you so much. And now, let us affirm together the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and I am. And once more, our affirmation for today. Remember your word, just add it after this. My mission to be is to be kind. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe. Take care of yourself. and find that mission to be what you imagine God to be. Namaste.